Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Science and the Soul. I am the DearJaclyn, your human design expert, and I am joined by my fabulous co-host, Dear James, bringing you intuitive guidance. And each week we bring you Science and the Soul, which is bridging the gap between practicality and spirituality so that we can live a more fulfilled and balanced life. I'm super excited for this week's episode, being the month of love. James, hello and welcome.
Yes, isn't it? Hello, everyone, and welcome. And hello, beautiful Jacqueline. And Haley, good afternoon, darlings. Ditto, right back at you. Yes, this is a powerful Science and the Soul episode and topic. I mean, it's self-value, self-worth, self-image, self-love. Those are big topics. Big.
I'm super excited to dive straight in. Listen, because it is. We've just had Valentine's Day. February is that month of love, and most importantly, we're wanting to look at the authenticity of what self-love actually means, because like James has so beautifully said before on a previous show or previous episode, actually, is the most important relationship you have is first and foremost with yourself. And this is why I'm super excited for today's show. And as always, if you're joining us live, please drop us a comment in the comment section. That is the way we see you. If you're joining on the replay, let us know. #replay. Welcome. We are live both on YouTube and on Facebook, and then on Dear James's Twitter. And do the following: like, share, subscribe, tag people in, because the more you do that, the more you share, the more we're able to get this message across, and the more we're able to all transform and shift and stand in our truest potential and power.
Isn't it? It's really such a beautiful it's a beautiful topic, and it's also because I think, Jacqueline, it's the issue of the fact that it's a really one of the biggest, if not the biggest, cliche, right? It's that whole, oh, love yourself and self-love, and you're supposed to love yourself, and then how do you love yourself? And if you don't love yourself, then you can't love someone else, and you know the statements and the things that we've all grown up with and we hear come into play, and yet it's elusive, right? This whole thing, or it's misunderstood, it's elusive, or I don't know how to love myself, or what does it really mean to love myself? And am I doing it right, or I'm not doing it, or I can't do it? There's so many things here. So, yes, and yet, so in a sense, so very simple, because it really is about coming home. It's about that soul source connection, the one that it's the one you came into life with, as we've talked about. It's the one you will leave life with. It is the one true love. It's the one true love, the one true relationship you will always have as constantly. It's a constant.
Absolutely. So it's so fascinating, because I want to dive into what human design also has to share, because we can understand self-love based on the map that human design gives us, right? Now we all have our own unique guidance tools through human design by generating our charts, but then we all actually have all of the chart, right? So the chart in its entirety is an explanation of how we as a collective function, right? So even if you have definition, or even if you're undefined in certain areas, it doesn't mean you're not experiencing that. It just means that it's not consistent. So there's variability in the way you're experiencing energy within certain aspects of the chart. So what's so beautiful is, being my natural line 1 investigator self, I dove straight into what does human design show us about self-love. And self-love, we're talking about, I'm going to be focusing on 2 centers, but obviously that's not the be all and end all, as we know, but it's literally the G center and the will center, or the heart center. Now, what happened in human design is we've transcended from being 7 centers to 9 centers. So what that actually looks like is the heart center split into 2, which is the G, and then the will center now in human design. So if we dive into what that looks like, we can see you're being asked questions like, let me actually get my questions that I actually wrote down. You're being asked questions like, are you open to receiving and giving love? And it doesn't matter if it's defined in your human design chart or undefined, the question still remains. Because remember, it's just the mechanics that are different. So even looking at that first question, it's big, it's deep, it's beautiful, it's impactful, right?
Right, because in essence, again, here's the question, or here's the dilemma or the hurdle. Are you open to receiving love? Sounds. And yet, what is love? You see what I'm, because we can say, oh, it's the relationship love, or it's this external thing, or it's this feeling. And yet people will, many times people will say, well, I don't know how to show love, or I wasn't shown love. So it's this quandary of defining, what does it really mean? And it's interesting because love, and it's important, I think, to remind everybody right at the top of the hour, remember, everything's energy. Love is an energy. Truly, it's an energy. It's a state of being. How are you interacting with this energy, and how does it show up in your human design chart? How does it show up in our lives? How do we interact with it? How do we process it? How do we examine it, display it? Right?
So it's interesting because love is also the highest frequency, right? So you can't experience any I don't want to say love is an emotion. It's literally it's so much more than just an emotion. It's the highest frequency, because you can't experience worry and then love at the same time. You can't experience anger, or you can't even experience any other feeling other than true love. Like when love is like when you're really embodying the highest frequency, that is love, that's all there is.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. They can't exist in the same, as you were just saying. You can't have, is it fear or love? Is it fear-based or love-based? And when you're in one, the other is absent, or it's there, but you're not in that lane. You're not in that energy. So right off the bat, and it is, you were saying it's our highest, it's our purest, it's our highest energy, and so forth. It's our highest octave. It's also the essence, the root of our being. It's love. We are love-based, love-created, love origin-based beings. So it is our highest frequency. It is our purest frequency, because it is our root. It's our creation. It's our root.
Yeah, because we were created in love, within love, by
Absolutely.
love.
Right.
Right.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
Go on.
ahead.
No. Go on. Continue.
So
this is
what
great.
what I want to jump into is because listen, we can unpack this so beautifully. And with the G center, so I spoke about the G center, there are 9 different gates within the G center, and each of those 9 gates give you an indication of how you can embody like the essence of love, this frequency that we're speaking about, but also in very practical terms. So I want to run through a few of them quickly, because you'll be able to resonate with them, and then we can actually decipher, and then you can let me know also what comes up for you. So the first one is that gate 10, which is lovability, right? So are you actually open to receiving and giving love? So asking yourself that question. Then you have gate 7 is being empowered, right? Stepping into your personal power and what that looks like. Then you got gate 1, which is being yourself, so speaking your truth, fully expressing your greatness. Gate 13 is redefining what is possible, so telling a better story. Gate 25 is connecting to source. Gate 46 is that physical vitality, your vehicle, your body. Gate 2, last but not least, is trusting in the support and the divine guidance, so your sense of direction. Can you see how it's literally a 360 approach to this essence? And this is what James is speaking about. Like, this is what you're speaking about, is we are love. And you can see with all of these gates, it's like the direction of our life comes from love, by knowing that we're divinely guided and being supported. We have this beautiful vehicle to guide us in the direction of where we're going, our body, the vitality, the energy, connecting to the truest essence, to the gate 25, which is source, right? Redefining what's possible by telling a better story, which is expression, expanding your physical and personal and energetic power, and then feeling empowered, and then also being receptive enough to actually receive it. I mean, it's so beautiful. Like, it's so beautiful.
And so let's start at the beginning, because I mean, this is really powerful. and foundational and all encompassing. And so the root, so our root of love, the root of love is your soul source connection. It is. We often think, so there's a misnomer, right? Because we think that our first experience with love is parental. It's our parents, right? Because of course it's the mother, the father, the mother, the caregiver, nourishment that we're getting from mother's milk and so forth, and then the care, right? So this is truly in the physical, our first experience is our caregiver, our providers, our parents or something. And then it kind of branches out to siblings and grandparents and aunts and uncles, and then we grow and so it all appears to be, the point of this statement is, our experience with love appears to be external. External. This is what we grow up experiencing, thinking, is that love is demonstrated externally, which means we've forgotten our origin, our first relationship. Our first relationship is with Source. That is our true parents. This is where we come from. This is where we return. And what's the point of that, right, Jaclyn? I mean, what's the point? And it's a big point. The point is, in order to understand self-value, self-love, self-image, self-worth, you must return to Source. You must return to yourself, to your soul source connection. Absent that, your experience is dictated by your external interactions.
It's so beautiful because it ties in perfectly with the founder and the creator of human design, Rahuru. That's not his original name. He literally changed his name. I think his first name was Adam. And he said that as children, so the human design system is so beautiful, and it's designed actually for kids, because as kids come in, they lose that sense of authority because of the conditioning from the external environment. And that's exactly what you're saying. It's like our first experience with love is external, right? And in that way, we're giving ourselves, like we're giving a part of ourselves away. We're not actually standing in our truest power and authority. And a lot of times it's not to blame either, like, because that's lower vibration,
right.
But it's to kind of understand that this is the mechanics, but also knowing and being guided by where we're headed, which is this transformation that we don't have to do anything about besides actually allow it through the kids that are being born today. And we spoke about this in the previous episode, where the kids are being born at a higher frequency, at a higher level. So it is our sense of responsibility now not to repeat this pattern of what we were brought into, which is focusing on the external environment, not empowering them to really stand in their authority. And this is what's so beautiful, is because as soon as you take back your authority, and it's not coming from a place of ego either, it's coming from a place of true essence, like, who am I actually? And then we can break it down. I mean, obviously then I broke it down in the beginning of what that actually looks like and how practically that actually plays out. So the fact that the starting point, which I love that you brought up, is I think it's almost like an invitation for everyone, especially if you're a parent and especially if you're thinking about having kids, is to realize how can you first and foremost balance this idea and your understanding about what love actually is, like internal and external, and then also how can you hold space for the kids, the new generation, the new souls that are coming in, so that they can lovingly step into that fully.
Yes, and here's a second misnomer, because this is, again, beautifully, so we grow up, this generation, even through to today, and we look at it and say, as a parent, or a care provider and so forth, that we, in a sense, and I don't mean this ego-wise, but in other words, it's the responsibility of the care provider, of the parent, that we know and we're there to train this newborn, this child that's coming in, because they don't know anything. And so we know, and here's this and this is a misnomer, because as Jaclyn is articulating, in which she did in yesterday's show, children come in, we all come in. So we, as the newborn, came in whole and complete. The children that are being born today, whole and complete. They are the next generation, the next iteration of humanity. And so from a soul perspective, from a being perspective, they are already, their whole program is installed. The soul program is there to know what they're going to do in their trajectory, just as we were, just as our parents and our grandparents. The difference is we have an opportunity now to release the old belief, the old misnomer that they know nothing and we know, and we have to teach them because we're the parent and the provider, as opposed to, no, we are in constant reciprocity. They are whole and complete, we are whole and complete, and each is a piece of the puzzle, of the tapestry that is divinely interwoven. And thereby, when we then say, let me return to my soul source connection, let me see my child or this individual that I'm caring for, let me see them in the same whole and complete. Because don't we have, Jaclyn, we have these statements like, out of the mouth of babes, right? Or, children speak truth. It's pure. And you'll say, how do you know that? How could you possibly know that? You're 3 years old, or you're 5 years old, or, well, because they're whole and complete.
100%. And I suppose this is also why a lot of people ask me, they're like, oh, why haven't you had kids yet? And I'm like, because I understand what it takes. Like, I understand the responsibility, right? Because it's not, we're not raising kids. Like, we're actually being, it's almost like reframing the idea of what it means to be a parent, and kind of notice and understand that you've been given a gift to hold space for this human, this soul, to not only guide you, but also bring in a new level of everything, this new level of consciousness, this new shift. So I think it is so incredible to be able to be given such a beautiful tool, but also understanding and knowing now that actually, let's flip things, like, let's change the status quo and let's talk about it in a way that's actually truth, and not
Real,
the
true.
old pattern that's not working no more. Because remember, we constantly talking about don't look at the old, don't look at the old.
Right.
But yet this is what it means. It means when you're parenting or when you're dealing with a child, you're not dealing with the child that doesn't know, or that isn't aware, or that doesn't have a sense of self. It's almost like, but you also can't I want to say give of yourself if you also don't know. So like, you don't know what you don't know, right? And this is why it's so important to have this kind of conversation, so that we can reawaken to our own selves, so we can hold space for the way that we're going to shift, which is the souls that are coming in.
Right. And it's reconnecting with these tools, and it's remembering we are truly the custodians of our vessel, our soul, this lifetime. We're the custodian as a caregiver. We are in reciprocity with one another. We are in reciprocity with the unseen. We're in reciprocity with these divination tools. We are in constant reciprocity as care providers. You're the caretaker of your life. You are the caretaker. The child, in this instance, the child is the caretaker of you as the parent. We don't think that way. We think, no, it's one way. We're the care provider of you. But look how many times you'll see when something happens, and you'll see people, the parents say, oh, this little 8-year-old saved my life. Because they offered the adult, the parent, what was needed. They were beyond their years. Because they're whole and complete. And they then know that they are a custodian. But we've lost track. The ego, patriarchal ego, has really made it, no, I'm in control and it's my life, and it's a one-directional way of, and I'm teaching you, and very dogmatic, very limited, very constricted. It serves a purpose. Everything's purposeful, and that's going to be a huge point I have, the purposeful part. However, we are returning, when you open to see things this way, which is, as Jaclyn just eloquently stated, is real. It's the truth. It's the real truth. Well, then you're not worried because you're open to receive. That's love. That's wisdom. That's enlightenment. That's evolution. That's ascension. That's euphoria. Doesn't get any better.
Mm-hmm. So dive into the purposeful.
Everything's purposeful.
Mm-hmm. Dive into what you mean when you say you want to bring it, like, share that wisdom.
Share that. Okay, so I want to go to the fact that everything is purposeful. And one of these things, when we're talking in today's show, we're talking about self-value, self-worth, self-image, with the ultimate overarching umbrella of self-love. And what you want to do, and this is just profound, is you come to the state where you literally say to yourself, with yourself, everything I am is purposeful. My soul crafted this body, this image, this sexual orientation, this gender, this creed, this impairment, quote unquote, this experience. It is divine and purposeful. Because when you look at how often are we trying to change our bodies, whether it's from cosmetic surgery to liposuction to, eye lifts and color changes, we're constantly changing, again, our exteriors. Thinking that, or I hate this about myself, and the minute you stop, you lay all that down, and you say, why is it, and I'm going to use a personal example. Mm-hmm. When I was younger, I had a head full of hair. I mean, just a mane. A lot of hair. You can tell I don't have that right now. So, and I would fuss with it and fuss with it and fuss with it and fuss with it. I was always touching my hair. And as I became older, and as I began to lose it and it would recede, more and more attention to it, more and more trying to keep it. And finally one day I had this overwhelming feeling of, I just want to shave it off. I just want to shave it off. And I took the plunge. And in that moment, as it was, and I had this, I was in the south of France at an ashram, beautiful people. And she said, let's do it. And I said, okay. And I'm nervous. And I said, okay. And then she said, who do you want to do it? And I said, would Indro. And he said, oh my God, really? And I didn't realize in the moment, he felt it was such an honor, Jaclyn. And I didn't really connect with that. I didn't understand. And then we went outside and I'm sitting there and all of a sudden he starts shaving, and it's falling. And as it's falling, this sense of liberation, of freedom, of release, of empowerment that I had never really experienced. And from that moment on, in that, I had this other, awareness and revelation of like, I forget it's not there now. And I literally think in my head, oh, I've got this mane of hair. Now, of course, obviously, I have a shaved head. The point to this story is the fact that once I made peace with, once I saw the empowerment, the divinity in what I had chosen, and I actually executed it, I actually came into resonance with it, my entire way of being changed. And so no matter what it might be, everything's purposeful. Everything, when you truly look within, when you look at yourself within, and it can be whatever it might be, what's its purpose? What is it? Why did I choose it? On a soul level, why did I choose it? Mm-hmm. Because it's about empowerment. It's about love. It can't be anything else. Everything on the other side is divine and neutral. So if it's divine, it's perfect. It's purposeful. It's up to us to then discern what is this? Why did I choose it? What is my height? What is my gender? What is my sexual orientation? What is the color of my skin? What is its purposefulness? Because contained within is the wisdom, is the gift. It's that. And there again, look how it ticks every single box that we're talking about today. And when you do it, hands down, you will stop hating yourself or hating something. You will stop looking at yourself in a certain way because you'll have moved past the surface to the as Jaclyn, to use Jaclyn's term, to the juiciness of it, to the beauty of the gift.
It's a journey though, right? Because I'm like,
1000%.
As you're speaking, I'm kind of going, whoa. I actually had a moment of recollection of the journey that I'm on, because I think a lot of times is we've been conditioned that there's always a destination. Like we've got to get somewhere and then, right? We've got to get that relationship and then I will feel good. I will love. I will understand it, right? We've got to
or if I change
have the finances.
Right.
Yeah.
If I change this, that, or the other of myself, right. I will.
Yep. Like I got to be skinnier, or I have to have bigger boobs, or, I mean, literally everything is in this frame of mind of there's a destination. And now we're kind of coming back to the truth, which is it's a journey. There's no destination. The destination is going to be ever changing. There's always going to be a destination, because part of the human experience is to have the experience. If there isn't a continuation in the journey, then there's no point. And it's kind of like there's no point to this experience, right?
Right, and you're making a very huge point, a valid point, which is, it'll be like, when I do this, then I'll be happy, or then I'll be worth, or then I'll have, that is the dogma, the old model, as opposed to saying, hang on, stop. And, I have a bald head. I have large breasts. I have this disfigurement, quote unquote. I have, you name it, whatever it might be, name it. And when you stop then and say, let me make peace with this. Let me see you meaning the item that's preventing you, or that you're wanting, that's impacting you. What is its purpose? What is its true value? Because it's value. It is not a negative, it's a positive. It might come in a cloak of an opposite. It might be that. But we have life experiences, right, where we can say, oh my gosh, because I went through that, or because I finally got to that place, I realized all of this. But if I had never looked, because I was too busy trying to change myself in a way because I didn't like something, I'm not going to get that pearl. I'm not going to get that gift because I'm trying to eliminate it or change it or hate it or eradicate. I'm on a different trajectory, a different journey, a different experience, as you're saying.
Absolutely. And then it speaks to the identification process. So it's like the root of suffering is identifying with everything. And it's like you're saying, I have a bald head, but I'm not a bald head. Like what that looks like and what that comes with it. Because I think so many times, if I look at also my personal experience, it was so focused again because of, and this is the interesting thing, and this is kind of like what's so powerful is knowing that this is what you're talking about. It's purposeful because there's a root cause for it, or a root, not even a cause, a root truth in it. A root
truth,
right?
A root offering, yes. A root blessing.
So, absolutely. So if I look at the experience of wanting to change certain aspects within myself, the root, the beauty, the truth was actually an underlying opportunity or an experience to really understand who I actually am. That I'm not just a vehicle or a vessel, I'm not just the body. And that's exactly it. It's like love through human design. Now you can see there's 9 gates, and that's just in the G center. And one of those gates are referring to your vehicle, because your vehicle at the end of the day is important, but it's not the identification with what it looks like. It's the vitality, it's the health, it's the wellness of this vehicle to be able to get you to or through this journey. That's the truth, right?
Yes. Yes. And let's tag on with Haley's making a comment here. Yes, it's so hard for us to recognize these things as a gift, an opportunity, and learning along our journey. Yes, and the only reason why, Haley, and for everyone listening, and the way to is through, right? So all we have to do, this is the only thing required of us, is to simply stop and say, be open to looking in and saying, what is the lesson, the gift, the opportunity in this piece of me or of this what's in it for me that I don't like? Because what we do, we focus on, our energy is focused on the dislike, the wanting to change it, the wanting to alter it. And then I will have, and I'll be happy, and I'll be loved, and I'll be liked, and da 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 da. And that's where our energy track is. Or the fear of, no, if I change that, if I cut my hair off, if I buzz my hair, am I going to be ugly? Will people love me? Am I going to find someone to love me? And so what was required? I just stopped and went, psh, release, let go, face the fear, walk through the fire. What was unexpected, and I'm being very honest with you and sharing this, what was unexpected was the flood of feelings that were coming through as it was happening. Because that was something that came from your soul in a place that is you're not connected, you're not consciously thinking about. And all of a sudden, as that hair fell, this wave of being liberated, it was the most surreal, eye-opening wow moment. And from that point on, I went, you know what? It may not be my best look or whatever, but you know what? I don't care. Because what was priceless was being liberated.
Mm-hmm. It ties in. So Brigitte actually mentioned, she wrote a comment, she said, doesn't this take a bit of free will from us? Like, if we don't live in our hearts and acceptance, then our lives will be hard. So it's so incredible, because I have a story very much the same as yours. It's so synchronized, actually, and this is why I was giggling, because I was like, should I share it? Should I not share it? And I was like, okay, no, I'm going to share it, because I think a lot of, especially women, are going to resonate with it. But throughout my years of growing up, so my family, all of the women have boobs, right? Like big, voluptuous, awesome boobs. And I always said to my mom, I was like, did I miss that gene? Because I did not get those boobs, right? And as you're growing up, especially because of the way we've been conditioned as women, that's part of our womanhood. Like, if you don't have these big, beautiful boobs, but now I understand also what big also actually means, because my sister's on the opposite end of the spectrum, you know? Anyway, so went through my entire life, literally up until the age of 26. That was my defining moment. And I was like, I really wanted boobs. I was considering getting a boob job. I used to wear padded bras like it was going out of fashion. Like, if I had to jump into the ocean or any water, it would be like all the culmination in my boobs because of the pads are so big. I literally did everything possible to kind of make myself look like I had bigger boobs. And it was so funny, because the more I focused on it, the more backlash I actually got. I would have guys say to me, oh, I thought you had bigger boobs than you actually do. Or so it was literally in my face all of the time. And it's so interesting. When I was 26, I said to myself, for my 26th birthday, I have two options. And this is, and so true, because now through human design, I can actually see I've got the gate 10. And I'm going to speak a bit about the conditioning as well that came with that, now that I have the words to articulate it. But I can empower myself. So I did, because I stood in my truth, and I just knew. It was like an instinctual knowing of, I have two options. Either I'm going to go for a boob job because I have the money, or I'm going to go to Thailand. I went to Thailand because I knew, I was like, everything in me just said, go to Thailand. And I can tell you, it was like you were saying, where it was this liberating feeling. From that moment on, I had not thought about even wanting different boobs from then. Now I can't even imagine my body without the body that I have at this moment in time. And I give gratitude and I have so much love for them that I actually giggle, because I'm like, how could you have wanted any other body? Like, how was it even possible? But it's like an instinctual inner knowing. Now looking back, I know that it was I want to say a facade or a cover up for that deep rooted, that purposeful.
Yes, purposeful.
What is it? Yep. That purposeful wisdom that the universe was wanting to show me, which is your value and your worth and your self-love doesn't come based on how you look or what you do, right? And it was trying to control. It was like always conditional. Oh, wait, they will love me when. Again, exactly, the destination. Yes. They will love me when. I will be worthy because, or when I do, or I look like, or I become, or I associate, right? So it's so liberating, because it's exactly that. It happens within an instant. And is it once off? No, because it depends how deep rooted your conditioning actually is. It could be multiple times, but I can guarantee you, in my experience, and it also sounds like in James's experience, it happens instantaneously. It's like this defining moment in your life where the shift happens, where you kind of go, hang on, how could I have even thought that anything other than, oh my gosh, you're beautiful, or oh my gosh, that actually fits me. I can't imagine myself with any other boobs right now. Like, it's so incredible to have that feeling, right?
Yes, because it in that, what it really is saying, and we're going to come back. I want to tag on with Brigitte's statement, but it's about authenticity. It is about truly, so self-value, self-worth, self-image, self-love. What's required in order to experience those? It's about standing in your authenticity. It is about standing in, facing the fire. For me, shaving my head was as simple and as maybe ridiculous as that, as an example. Or, and it's not, again, for women, having the size of your breasts, that is a very big deal. Some too big, too small, so to speak, and all that good stuff for women. And it's a constant thing that women, of course, it's an attribute of women that men love to exploit and make women feel uncomfortable about, and so forth. So, and yet what both Jaclyn and I are conveying in our personal experiences is that in that moment, we stood in our authenticity. We surrendered. We surrendered ourselves, and we said, we have a choice. And this is why it's going to tie into Brigitte's statement. Because Brigitte is speaking about, doesn't that take a bit of our free will from us? No, because what was required of Jaclyn, what was required of myself? Our free will made a choice. Do I continue this way? Do I continue fussing while I'm receding and losing my hair and constantly fidgeting? Does she constantly worry about whether she's going to do a breast enlargement, and that it's how it's negatively impacting her, affecting her? Or in that moment, do we stand in the purity of our divinity? Do we stand in our authenticity, face the fire, and go, I'm going to surrender and release this? And the minute you do, the empowerment that comes from it, and it was very interesting. I was officiating shortly after that, and I'd been abroad. I was in Europe when this happened. And when I came back, and I was going to be officiating a wedding, and they wanted to know if I was going to grow my hair back. And I said, absolutely not. And I said, this is me. There's that beautiful song, This Is Me. Now, this is me. And that's either enough for you, and if it's not, namaste, no problem. But this is me.
I want to tap on the whole experience that we both went through was not a logical approach either. So if you're thinking now, okay, how do I have this experience, or what do I need to do in order to get to this kind of awakening? Let's call it that, right? Or shift, or crossroads even. it's not a logical thing. It wasn't, I didn't think it through. I didn't make a pro and con list. It was an internal knowing. It was exactly what
Yes.
James was talking about. It's like you're literally on a journey. You get to a crossroads where you can go right or you can go left. You don't think too much about it. It's just in the moment knowing, oh wait, I need to go here. And you don't even give two seconds thought about it, because as soon as, I think, again, we're so programmed in this logical approach to life. Love is not logical. Sometimes love is going to be abstract, right? There's no reason sometimes to love. You can't reason why you love someone deeper than you love another person. I mean, you can maybe make a few lists and you can kind of say, oh, these are the reasons, but it's not actually, it's like a true essence, like the actual authenticity and the you can't logically explain it, the higher frequency.
Right. And let's tag on Brigitte's second piece. Like, if we don't live in our heart and acceptance, then our lives will be hard. No. Divine neutrality. It just means that in exercising your free will and again, as Jaclyn eloquently stated, it's a feat. Like, I didn't know why I was saying to myself, I just feel like I want to shave this off. I just want to shave my head. I want to shave my head. And I was knowing that, and then audibly it came out, and there's Shanti Mai saying, well, let's do it. And I was like, okay,
Okay.
But it was a knowing, just as yours was. It was a knowing. So the piece, Brigitte, and for everybody listening, the beauty is free will is at the forefront, because it is our choice whether we continue. Do we listen to that calling? Do we listen to that knowing, that internal knowing? Face the fire, surrender, face the fire, walk through to get to the other side so as to have a new experience? Or do we continue on the journey that we're currently on? That's free will, and that is, again, just two different experiences, two different ways of experiencing, because what will most likely happen is, if it doesn't happen in this moment, it might be a day, a month, a year, a decade later. At some point,
the next moment.
Right, the next moment will present itself that you may at that point be ready, because in essence what our soul is saying, what we are doing in alignment with our soul is saying, I'm done with that lesson. I'm ready for the next iteration of myself. I'm ready to explore beyond what I know of myself. And this is where, and all of those things impact our self-value, our self-worth, our self-image, and the love we have for ourselves, because that means we're willing to expand and step beyond what we know of ourselves.
And that's the journey. Like you're speaking, it's not a destination, it's a journey. So I want to give practical guidance, because we're all about bridging the practical and the spiritual. So when you look, and I had a really big aha moment, because I'd always known underlying, I suppose, the issue, like underlying was self-worth, I knew, but I didn't know how they all tied in. And when I was doing research today, and I thought to myself, okay, how do I articulate because obviously when I'm in the experience and I'm reading charts, I'm not thinking about the process, it's going through the motion. And now I'm kind of like retraining or retracing my steps so that I can articulate how you can as well start doing the process for yourself. So when you're looking at your chart, and remember I said to you G center and you got the wall center, what tends to happen is with human design, what they teach you is they say that conditioning is predominantly in the undefined areas, and what happens is people take it as, oh, where I'm undefined, meaning it's not colored in, that's where my conditioning is, and that's the only place I'm conditioned. And that's not the case, right? You can be conditioned even in definition within your chart. But what's really important is when you look at your two centers, your G center and your wall center, and you look at it and see which one is colored in, which one is open, or are they both defined, are they both undefined, are they colored in, are they white? And then you look at the juice, again, the juiciness lies in the hanging gates from those two centers. Now, a hanging gate is you have one of the gates that is defined and the other gate is undefined, right? So if, for example, you have a hanging gate that that connects to any of the G center or the will center. So any of the gates that surround that, that gives you a key into your conditioning. Now I'm going to give you an explanation or an example from my experience, right? So I have basically all of the channel for the integration circuit, which is the 10, 57, the 57, 20, but I'm missing the 34. So it doesn't close off that full integration circuit. So I have an undefined 34, which comes from my sacral center, right? So if you're thinking of the sacral center, that 34 meets the 10, which is in the G center. So what happens with me is I've been conditioned that love comes from, my worth comes from how hard I work, or how much energy I put into things, or what do I need to do in order to prove myself. Also open, I have an undefined will center, that willingness or that neediness to prove my worth, right? Conditioning. So that's the 34. Then I'm forcing instead of surrendering and trusting. That's the lower frequency of that 34. The 34 is in a response. It's a strength. It's the most powerful gate in the human design. Yet I was conditioning myself to think that I had to force life, I had to force love, I had to force, showing people my value, instead of trusting and receiving and being open to receive, or being open to, to receive love. And then a coping mechanism was anger. Anger is that lower frequency, but comes from that life force energy. Does it make sense, James? Do you want
Yes,
to say things?
I just went, because when you just said the part before the last piece, or simply be love, that you would trust in the sense of where you're saying, and this is, a lot of us do this, a lot of people, that's that thing. Oh, I've got to prove my value is in what I do, or how I do it, or how much I do, and whatever, instead of simply being love. I just wanted to throw that in. Sorry, it really struck me.
No, absolutely. That's exactly it, because your life force energy is in response to what life. So this is the mechanics that human design is now giving us a language to articulate. So when our life force energy is not a force, it's that balance between the masculine and the feminine, right? Receiving, responding, taking inspired action, but you've got to be open to actually receive it. And then it was coping with my coping mechanism with this anger was actually being repressive or trying to be controlling. I also have an open 21 to my hanging gate 45, and 21 is in the will center. So 21 is all about control. So I was conditioned to control. Like I had to control every aspect in my environment, because heaven forbid I lost all of the marbles or my ducks were not in a row. Then people would see I'm not worthy, I don't have any value, they will not love me, like all of the questions. And this is how you can discover for yourself what is causing you to feel less than, what is prohibiting you from really standing in that trust and that love for self, that true essence, that authenticity that we're talking about. Like for the first time, I actually had an aha moment when I was doing research. I was like, wow, I can actually articulate my current journey and my past journey, the journey that I'm living, with this understanding of, good gracious, this is where the keys are. It's in my gate 34. It's in the gate 21. It's in the idea of I couldn't give control away within relationships, and now I can look at relationships in a different way and go, hang on, where do I feel out of control, or where do I feel the need to control, and therefore I then get into my bitterness. And I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And this is just two aspects from that beautiful chart, that roadmap, that guidance tool, that system that we've been given. So if, for example, you're sitting at the moment and going, I'm wanting to understand a little bit about what is potentially the underlying root cause for me wanting to get bigger boobs, or lose more weight, or have, manifest a perfect relationship, or try and control my partner, look at the opposite gates to any hanging gates that are coming from the G center or the will center. Look at what's happening there. And then that is where the key, like that's where the truth actually lies. And it can give you words so that you can understand the process of the transformation, so you can truly step into your self-worth and self-power.
Mm. That is literally the, as I always say, the cloak of opposites. You just, from a human design perspective, you just articulated your lesson may come in the cloak of an opposite. And thereby look to the opposite in the human design chart, look to the opposite to see, because again, it will be purposeful. It will be divine. It will be neutral. And it will be your choice as to, do you continue on the experience, on the journey, experiencing it in the way you are, or are you shifting it? Are you going to open and surrender to something, to see something more, deeper, and thereby you arrive at a new you because you've transcended it. You've moved through the fire. I want to give Jaclyn a practical tip, and this will sound really it's easy and simple, and yet it is shifting. It is just soul shifting. When you're focused on the lack or the negative aspect, it can be a thought, it can be something about yourself, whatever it might be that is negative. Stop and start repeating the word love. Love, love. I do this often, and I do it because a thought might come in or something that I didn't really want. I'm not consciously thinking of something, but a negative energy or thought comes in, and I immediately start going love, love, love inside my head, and it immediately disappears. It is a powerful, simple tool that will shift anything, because again, what are you coming back to? Your soul source origin, the essence of your being, love. And it constantly shifts. Or you're somebody's coming at you, having an argument or something, and if you just simply inside go love, 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 you shift your energy. You're not reactive, and you don't respond or react in a negative way. But the power of love, ha ha ha, thank you, universe. That was the power of love. There's a Celine Dion, the power of love. The power of love is transformational. It shifts you. And so please, if you haven't done it, please try it and put in the comments and so forth how it's affecting you and how it may be shifting you and working with you, because I know from a personal experience, it's profound. So I just wanted to share that practical tip with everyone while we're talking about self-love, self-empowerment, self-value, self-worth.
That's absolutely beautiful. I think on that note, we literally are inviting every single one of you to, I suppose, be patient and kind with yourself as you go through this process, because again, I'm reminding you, it's not a logical process. Like, you can't figure this one out. If I told you I figured it out, I didn't figure it out. I didn't mentally, conceptually try and figure this out and then I got it. And I'm a very logical person. So for me to say I didn't logically figure this out, it's huge. Like, I literally just said I investigated today and I had an aha moment. But it's taken me, I'm literally now 32, and I've had this moment from 26 and then now 32, and I've had many moments before and in between that, and I'm still going to have many moments to come, because it's a journey. So it's not a logical process of trying to figure it out. It is literally, the work is you standing in your truth, your authenticity. What does that look like? It looks like when you're at a crossroads, it's picking your higher self versus what you think you need to be, or who you think you need to be, or who you think you need to be with. It's setting boundaries. It's making healthier choices for your body so that you have the vitality and the health and the wellness and the energy to continue the journey, to continue the process, to have the experience. It is deepening your self-trust, deepening the trust in the bigger scheme of things, right? It's the empowerment. It's the surrounding yourself with people who really fill you up, but also give you the space to and remind you to fill yourself up, to fill your own cup up, right?
Yes.
So these are the practical things, and it's the words. I mean, James, you beautifully reminded us the words that we choose to use. Words have frequency, have vibration, and it's so important. Be consciously aware of the words that you're choosing. Like, you know, how
Right.
many times do women do this? Do I look fat in these jeans?
Right. I mean, why, you know, and we're
Why go
using
there?
love is the highest frequency. So when I'm saying, you know, invoke love, just keep repeating the word love. Well, you're invoking the highest frequency. It's going to automatically raise, eliminate, diminish, release anything that's less than it because it's the highest octave. And it's so good. It's so pure and good. And then it shifts you and you're kind of like, oh, you know, love. Sometimes I just say the word because. You know, I'll say it in my head to myself, love,
Mm.
love, 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 you know, and all of a sudden I'm happy, you know, I've shifted myself. And, you know, Jaclyn, this is science in the soul. And so I want to bring in a piece about the science of love because I looked at it, I was like, what's the science of love? And it's very interesting. They say being in love is affected by huge, measurable changes in the biochemistry of the brain. Science has identified three basic parts of love, each driven by a unique blend of brain chemicals. And I'm just going to touch on the first one. Attraction is driven by adrenaline, dopamine, and serotonin, the same chemicals that are released by exciting novel experiences. So, love is as much, again, energy, right? It's as much science. Science has affirmed when we experience love in three different categories, biochemical reactions within our being are affected. So, that being the case, which I just love this because you can see how the spiritual, the human design goes together with the scientific. They affirm one another and they say, stay in a state, operate in a state of love. It is our highest frequency. This will create chemical reactions, biochemical reactions within our being. And thereby, when we're exercising that free will and choosing to surrender to love, to self, that soul source connection love, the results are going to be accelerated expansion, ascension, a new you. You know, it's because it's just going to be, it's the highest octave. It's not this lower category thing that we've been talking about, which is this external form of love. This is a high octane, you know, highest octave love. And when we operate from there, the rest follows. It's attraction, right, Jaclyn? It's attraction.
Absolutely. I mean, 100%. Mic drop. Like we said yesterday, it's only mic drop moments. Like the
Mic drop.
I almost was like, do I want to add anything? And I was like, no. That it was almost like full stop, exclamation mark, mic drop.
Yeah. And I just want to add before we make our announcement and everything, you know, Haley, Brigitte, Lori, everybody joining us live today, Debbie, thank you all so much for joining us because, again, your comments and your participation really enrichen this discussion and the joy that Jaclyn and I receive from doing this show, Science and the Soul. I mean, your comments and everything really expand and they're real, they're tangible, they're your life experiences. And this is where we all get to, you know, to be in reciprocity with one another and expand. And I think that just really kind of leads into our announcement, Jaclyn. So why don't you,
Two things, two beautiful, powerful things that we're so excited to be able to launch with you guys. The first one is we are going to, or we have, well, we are in the process of creating, let me say it that way, a community on the inside of Facebook. So we will be doing the live shows, both episodes on Wednesday, or both shows on the Wednesday show as well as the Thursday show is going to be taken on the inside, or it's going to be taken into a group or a community on the inside of Facebook. Facebook. We are so super excited to be able to share that with you guys. So as soon as that is up and the link is available, keep your eyes peeled, because we will literally tag you in, and then you can go and join the community, or the group. It's a group, a Facebook group, on Facebook.
Yes.
So that is something that we're so super excited about, because it's going to be a space where we can then continue to hold space for you. But it's more of a I want to kind of say it's behind closed doors, because it's a private group. So it's not an open group.
Right. And it's really where Jaclyn and I really want to have a lot more one-on-one with you, and also as a group, and harness the beauty and the power, the empowerment of the collective. And so this is where, while we will continue to do the public shows as we're doing like this and everything, what we wanted to do was create this private Facebook group so that we can share and come into unity with you all in an even more empowering, beautiful secret society. I love that. Haley, oh, it's a secret society. So, a safe space where we can all really just reflect with one another, grow with one another, evolve, ascend, and that we do it in a very safe and cherished space.
Absolutely. And then it brings the next thing, which is so exciting. And this is what we're talking about, which is harnessing the power of the collective, which is answering your question. Because that Wednesdays we answer your questions, but sometimes what we've discovered and what we see and what we know is that even if you don't directly answer your question or ask a question, you're getting answers from the collective, answers from the people who are joining the space as well, because it's.
And we are back live. Why do they do that to us, Jaclyn? What's happening?
Right at the end, I thought to myself, I was like, we've done it, we've made it. Like, it's a whole hour and we didn't drop off. Like, what is this? And then you stopped me and said no. So now we're going to ramp up the energy, because the last thing that we want to introduce to you is the 8th of March. We are holding such a beautiful space that we want to invite you into. So not only are we inviting you into the secret society, as Haley calls it. I love that, Haley, like the secret society, so that we can hold space for you. But we're also inviting you into the self-empowerment initiative, which is like, I'm so excited for this, because it is going to be on the 8th of March, and you're going to have the opportunity to deeply connect with both myself and Dear James, and we're going to be coming from an aspect of answering your questions on a whole other level, and we're going to go deeper. I mean, if you watched the show last night, I was blown away. I told James at the end of the show, I was like, whoa, that was deep. And then I thought to myself, well, yes, like this, we're not sugarcoating nothing here. We're not surface level, we go deep. So on the 8th of March, we're going to be going deep with a select number of you. And we're going to hold space for you, and we're going to answer those questions. And like we said, we're going to tap into that power of the collective unity, where we're all coming together, we're all co-creating this beautiful energy, and we're getting the intuitive insights, and we're getting that human design wisdom.
Yes, and this will be, which will be really great, and you can turn your cameras on or not, but it will be through an event set up through Facebook, but it will be coming in through Zoom, so that we will all be able to see one another. It takes on a beautiful new layer of interaction and reciprocity, and it's really about, this entire initiative is about self-empowerment and transformation. And what we have really come to learn is one person's question answers 1,000 people's answers. It's 1,000 people's answers. And so we love the fact that we can really come in these, and they'll most likely be held weekly. We're still working out some of the details. But each one of these initiatives is about diving deeper, going into the human design, the intuitive insights with the unseen and so forth. And all of us being in a safe space and seeing one another and being able to receive, and really, because again, what's so beautiful about harnessing the empowerment of the collective is, again, it may be your question, but it is truly 1,000 people's it's their answer. They may not have asked that question, but they needed to receive it or hear it. And that's the beauty about this, and this the initiative that Jaclyn and I want to launch with all of you. So we cannot be more excited. This is so
We're
great.
so excited. So as soon as we have everything set up, because like we know, everything happens in divine timing, and myself and James are not going to be pushing and forcing things. So this has been coming for the last 2 months, and this is what we've been sitting on, and we've just been waiting for the right time when the universe was going to drop that penny for us, and it has. And this is why we're announcing it. The group is not live just yet, but as soon as it is, it's going to be, hopefully, we're hoping that it's going to be live during this weekend. Keep an eye out on both myself and Dear James's Facebook page, because we are going to be posting. We will be posting the links as well to both the self empowerment initiative, as well as it's going to be called Intuitive Insights and Human Design Wisdom Community, the Facebook group. So you can go join that. You can also invite friends, and then we'll drop the link as well to the initiative, which we are so super excited to be able to share with you guys. So thank you for your patience. Thank you so much that we're able to launch this with you guys, and we are so super excited for all of these fabulous, juicy experiences and opportunities to become more self-empowered, so we can truly start loving ourselves, so you can step into your self-worth, so you can be the best version of yourself.
Absolutely. So thank you again. And please, as always, if you know of people that may benefit, please reach out to them, share, and so forth. And we'll hopefully have everything up over this weekend, like Jaclyn said, and we will be back next Wednesday and Thursday with you all live here on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, and a future announcement to come. All right. Teasing out just a little bit more for you all. But... All right. We love you all. Bye. See you next week.